Who do you trust the most with your baby? You might be looking at daycare as an option. You might be looking at a family member as an option. You might be looking at a combination of one or two, or maybe even friends. Just taking consideration about where your child is at that stage when you go back to work. So typically your baby isn't talking until your baby isn't walking until about 1 year. Your baby isn't talking till about year 2, and your baby isn't potty trained till about year 2, 3. 2 is kind of on the early side. So just think about like these really crucial moments they haven't yet mastered, and you're going back to work. So who do you trust to facilitate that walking, talking, and potty training? So those are things that you would have to consider. Who do you trust with your child, your most precious person in the world, to make sure that they have the best environment for these very sensitive things? And a little bit about why I'm a stay-at-home mom. So important to do the math. It's important to think about who do you trust, and then like, why do you want to do this? Like, is this for you? Is this your personality? Like, can you be home with a child for this duration? Whatever it is, right? You start off first at 3 months, then you could see if you could do it, and then you figure out 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And it depends on you and your situation. Everybody's slightly different. So I'm a stay-at-home mom for various reasons. I had the opportunity. My husband and I, we figured out how to make it work, and it's working right now for us. Like I said, we're at 15 months. And it was like, for a personal reason, it was really important for me, to the point where I didn't realize how important it was until I was actually doing it and reflecting back on my childhood. So when you give birth, or however you have your child, you start thinking about your upbringing. Why you are the person you are, why'd your parents do these certain things, why they didn't do this, triggers, things that were really traumatic, things that were really great in your childhood. You start thinking about all these things and really thinking about like what your experience was. And since I've been home with my baby, and the journey really starts sometimes if you're pregnant, the journey starts sometimes even then, like when you start really thinking about like your childhood and your upbringing. And for me, I was faced with a lot of trauma. My childhood was very traumatic, and I knew I just wanted to be able to shelter my baby from that trauma of the outside influences. I wanted to make sure that they were in a warm and loving environment. And the best way I felt that I could do that was being the actual person who is taking care of my child. This is a situation that we're in right now. I don't know how long this is going to last. Right now it's working. But because of the trauma and the pain that I went through in my childhood, and I just knew I wanted to be able to shelter my child and to love my child the way that I wasn't. And it's, in a weird way, it's also therapeutic for me to be able to do this. It's not necessarily undoing what happened to me, but it's me being more intentional about how I want to parent. Like, this is what I definitely do not want. And so that's also impacted my experience of what I think it means to be a loving parent, what I think it means to be a caregiver. And so these are just things that I hope you really get to think about. If you get to become a stay-at-home parent, mom, dad, or whatever, it's a great experience. It's hard work, but there's just nothing like it. Like, to be able to experience all those moments. And I wish you all the best, and just do your math. Think about who you trust with your child, and think about your personal experience about how you would become just like the best parent you could possibly be if you're stay at home or not.